Okay, sorry, I know I'm 5 minutes late. Hello, how's everybody doing? How is your Thursday? Hopefully it's good. Hopefully everybody's recovered from the Facebook issues yesterday and Instagram and WhatsApp. And oops, we really don't need to hear me twice. So, happy Thursday. We're going to jump right in because I'm a little bit late. So I'm going to do the opening and we will start to talk about our topic, which tonight is 3.5 now ways that you can secure your business today that you should already be doing, but just in case you're not, let's just run through the quick checklist and make sure that everything is where it needs to be, because let's face it, we don't need more problems in our lives, right? So by taking some very simple steps, you can help to make sure that your business is secure, and quite frankly, these things also apply to life. So there's a win-win, right? Okay, let me bring this up and we will rock and roll. Or not. Okay, see, it did finally work. So hello, welcome, my name is Kathleen and I'm here as your tech coach. For those of you who are new, welcome. Basically the story is technology is my day gig, it's also my hobby, and so I am the person most people turn to in my world when they're looking for advice, if they have questions, if they have concerns about technology. And I've come to realize that everybody has somebody to talk to, so that's why we're here tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about 3 steps that you should be taking to help secure your business. We're not talking about locks on the door. That's a topic for somebody else to cover. I'm talking from a technology online standpoint. And the nice thing is these are very simple. For a couple of them, there's a fee, but it's in the scope of things, it's very actually, in any sense, it's very reasonable. And in the scope of things, it's downright cheap. So let's dive in and get this party started. Let's go with that one. Yes. So, topic right now for today. Here we go. Seriously? All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is using some sort of a password vault. We're going to talk specifically about LastPass, but there's a bunch of them out there. So first of all, what are these? These are a way for you to create one ID and password, okay, that controls all of your IDs and passwords. And the benefit to that is you will be less likely to not create a super strong password because you're worried about forgetting it. You will also be a whole lot less likely to use the same one over and over again. That's a really bad idea in your personal life. It could be catastrophic in your business life. So the idea behind this is that they have a free service and they have a paid service. And you can go in and either manually put in your IDs and passwords to the different sites and tools that you use, or you can plug in you can use the plugin in your browser, which will then say every time you use one, hey, did you want to save this into your vault? The other benefit to this kind of thing is, particularly from a business standpoint, is, so if you think about it, right, if you're running a business, there's times that you need help, whether you have, staff, right, or you have employees, maybe you have seasonal help, maybe you have regular staff, or maybe, you just have like a virtual assistant that you use, or maybe, a couple times a year your accountant needs access, so on and so forth. They're going to need access to, tools and services and your data, but a lot of people, what they do is they just give out the ID and password. Well, it's like handing over the keys to the kingdom, right? Because once they've got that, they can get anywhere. So the nice thing about using a service like this is that you can set up temporary restricted access that you can then immediately take away without messing up your own world. So let's say, for example, you hire a virtual assistant to maybe do some stuff on your social media, okay? You don't want them going in as you necessarily. You don't want them to know your ID and password, but most of the social media tools don't allow for you to set up, especially if you're using a free level, don't allow you to set up alternate users with restricted use. So instead, what you can do is you can set up a restricted LastPass access, so they can only get into the accounts that you want them to get into, and the minute you don't need them in there, you can pull it, and they've never learned your personal ID and password, which is a huge lifesaver. If you have a slightly bigger situation, bigger operation, it'll actually tap into things like LDAP, which if you are working like the Microsoft world, that's the deep embedded system where you're creating IDs and passwords and roles and controlling security levels and that kind of thing. So again, you don't have to give people unique IDs and passwords for all the things you need to get them into. If you're using LDAP for your business, that same LDAP password that you're giving them, where you're setting up their ID, their password, their level of security, can also then be tied into LastPass very simply. And that way, again, you can say, okay, yes, they have access to these. No, they don't have access to those. And when the time comes, which happens, that you guys part ways, it's one step to revoke all that access. You don't have to remember, oh, geez, what did we give them? Oh, no, we have to go in and change all this kind of stuff. We take all of that chaos out of our lives by simply using a tool like this. So let me just show you real quick. Whoops, no, we're not ready to go there yet. So just so you can see what it looks like when you get there. So you go in and, you know, they've got all the information. They've got a really good FAQ. They do a great job of explaining it. And this is the other nice thing about it. It works. Let me bring this way. It works everywhere. It works from the desktop. It works from the phone, from tablets, from Chromebooks, and even down to smartphones. Oh, I'm sorry, the smart devices, the watches, that kind of thing. So it covers everything. It's been around for a long time. It's very well, it's got a good reputation. But like I said, there's other ones out there. If you're curious, they do have personal and business level. And I think this shows all the pricing. Okay, so this is the personal. Let's talk pricing. So from the business, it's $4 a month per user. Okay, $6 for enterprise. So super reasonable, right? And look at all of the functionality that you get from it. I mean, you can even have it generate the passwords for you. So you don't even have to think about it anymore, right? Because that's always the part that drives you a little crazy as you're going through and you're creating accounts. You get to that point and you're like, oh, geez, another password I got to create. What am I going to use this time? And what are the rules for it and everything else? So you can actually do it. You can actually also put in secure information. You can put in like your credit cards information and all that. And again, if it is something that you need maybe your employee to use, but you don't want to give them a card, right? Or you don't want to give them the number, you can give them this, which lets them apply that information without actually owning that information, which is a huge difference. Multi-factor, emergency access. So it has a lot of functionality. Of course, you know, the more you pay, the more you get out of it. But to be perfectly frank, this is what you need. This is all the stuff that you need, and it's available across the levels, and it's just super reasonable. Now, somebody out there is going to be saying, but Kathleen, I heard that they had a problem and they got broken into, and, you know, putting all my information in one place, isn't that less secure than more secure? I understand all those things and understand why you're saying them. Yes, they did have a security breach. The good news is, because this is their business, they caught it immediately. They were on top of it. They were upfront about it. They explained what happened. They were able to stomp on it quickly, and there really was no major damage done. Somebody did breach, but they didn't actually get into anything. So yeah, there is that concept of, well, if I put all my IDs in and passwords in one place, does that mean I'm giving the keys to the kingdom that way? But these people are in the business of keeping it secure, and you're not, right? Unless you happen to be a security expert, in which case, hey, you know, that's a whole different story. But for most of us, doing our day-to-day business is enough of a job to do that we're not going to be paying as much attention to this as we should. And this is where you end up with Post-it notes all around the office with the ID and password to all your stuff, or you're saving it in the browser, which frankly is not the greatest solution because that is even less secure. So the whole thing with security is, no, there are no guarantees in life, just like there's no guarantees in life in anything else. But the harder you make it, the less likely you are to be the target, because it's a low-hanging fruit kind of situation, right? Easy target, you know, if you leave your car unlocked, you know, somebody's more likely to help themselves to what's inside of it than the guy in front of you and behind you who maybe had locked it. Because if they're just walking up and down and testing the doors to see which one's open, they're going to go for the easy open. So it's that kind of a concept here. And like I said, it is their job. They're constantly monitoring. They're staying on top of things. They're constantly improving and strengthening their security. So you get the benefit of all that. Said, if you're not comfortable with LastPass, you can do a search. You can find all kinds of other ones out there. All I'm going to say to you, and you're going to hear this several times tonight, is make sure you go with a service that you pay for. Because if you think about it, right, if you are the free service, okay, nothing is really free in life. So if somebody's giving you security stuff for free, you have to ask yourself, how are they making their money? And you want the people who are protecting you to be making their money off of you, because you want you to be their focus, not the other people who are paying them, right? That's just basic logic in the world. All right, let me just do a quick checker because I actually didn't, and I should. Okay, so while I'm doing that. Okay, so we are good. We're all plugged in here. So yes, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to throw them in. I think getting them everywhere. Let me just do the Periscope security check, because not a security check. It just, I love you, Periscope. I do. You people are wonderful. You are so kind with the hearts and the comments and all that, but, you know, they do make it hard on us to catch your comments. So if you put a comment in and I haven't, you know, responded to it or acknowledged it, go ahead and put it back in again, because I have to catch them on the fly, which is a bit of a challenge. But well worth it. Well worth it, to be sure. Okay, so we're good here. All right, so like I said, LastPass is definitely something to consider. There are other ones, so we can bring those up here. No, that's not what I said. Okay, so let me just bring this back up for you. Here we go. So yeah, so it gives you, it's one password that you can use it for everything. You can use it across all of your devices. It gives your employees the access, that, especially the temporary ones, but any employee, right, or a service provider, you're able to give them the access they need without having to generate either unique IDs and passwords or give up yours, which is a terrible idea. And it makes it really, really easy to go ahead and create secure passwords, because you can have it create these gigunda long, complicated passwords that you don't have to remember. Because as humans, there's a limited time which we can remember. But because you've got it in the tool, you're all good. Now, the other thing that people say to me when I mention this kind of thing is, well, what if it's down, right? Okay, we've had a lot of outages in the past couple of weeks. Something's up. I don't know what's on, but there's been too many outages. But that's a conversation for another show. And that's going to happen. The thing is, with the LastPass, what they do is you also print out emergency access numbers that you can use. So again, you can have that in your back pocket to use for the times when maybe you're in a place without connection or they're having a problem, whatever. But they have thought about that. They do have alternative routes in place, so that they've got it covered. It's their business. So here are some other alternatives. Like I said, if you do a search online, you'll find a bunch. Just do your research. You know, if you're not going to use LastPass, use somebody else that's, you know, been vetted. Go to like ZD or go to PC Mag, or, you know, go to one of the industry sites, you know, and look for the top 5, the top 10s, you know how they love those lists. If you're looking for alternatives, here are some other ones. 1password.com, npass.io, Dashlane, and cybersecurity. These are also, they tend to show up on the top 10 lists, and they've been reviewed and vetted, and they've been around for a while. So these are alternatives if you want to go with somebody different. All right. I thought I just saw John pop up. Hi, John. How are you? Good to see you. But you know, it's such a simple way. It takes a lot off your plate, because let's face it, having to keep track of all this stuff for your employees, having to keep track of it for yourself is mind-numbing, right? And you always think, I do this all the time too. You know, you go and you create the new account, you're like, oh, I'll remember this. I don't have to record it anywhere. And then, like, you know, 2 weeks later, you go back into the account, you're like, oh, I don't remember how to get in. Right? And then you got to go through, like, forgot my password thing. And some of those systems are quick. Most of them are not, and if you need to get in that moment and it takes them 2 hours to send you the link to go and regenerate your password, who has that kind of time to waste, right? I don't. I know you don't. So give this a try. All right, next up, VPN. Okay, so what is that, first of all? VPN is what they call a virtual private network. So when you connect to the internet, right, you're on a network. That's really what the internet is. So VPNs secure your connection to the internet, right? So instead of you just having the standard connection that everybody else has around you, you're actually getting a dedicated, what they call a tunnel, okay? So basically the tunnel is blocking everybody else's view at what you're doing while letting you get through to get to the information that you want to do. So as far as security and privacy go, it's a big win. It's going to, in addition to creating this tunnel for you, it's also going to encrypt the traffic. So what you're sending out as your request, what you're getting back from the internet or from the tools that you're using, is going to be encrypted going back and forth. So that's another level of security. So that way you don't have to worry about, you know, maybe people snarfing on it and being able to read it as it's going back and forth. It gives you that little bit of extra security. Now, nothing, again, is 100%. So yes, you can use a VPN. It will secure your data going back and forth, but things like where you went, okay, where you're located, where you went, that kind of stuff. Well, the where you are, we'll get back to in a minute. But there's certain things that your IP, like your IP address, all these kinds of things will still be visible to your provider, because that's how they're sending the traffic, right? So while they may not be able to see exactly what you're doing, they will still know that you went to this site or that site or using this tool. So it's really about protecting your data more than anything else. That said, this can be super important if you are, for example, so you're running a business, right? And so let's face it, when you're running your own business, there's no such thing as not being at work, right? So maybe you're going to like, oh, real quick, jump in and check your email. Okay. Well, whether you're doing that at home or you're doing that from a Starbucks or whatever, you're now dealing with your important private business information in a less than secure arena. The best way to protect you and your business in that scenario is, instead of just jumping on and going into your Outlook 365 account, is to first fire up your VPN and go through that. Does that make sense? Because that way now you've added on a layer of privacy and encryption to help protect whatever information you're looking at, right? So whether that's, you're checking in to see about your orders, or maybe you've got some proposals out there and you're checking to see if there's been any response to them, whatever it is, you don't want to just be spewing your business information all over the place. You want to keep some privacy around it. Look at it from the other side. If you've got employees, maybe you've got salespeople out on the road, or maybe you've got remote employees, or maybe you've got multiple locations, and the employees are maybe dialing in to get into, dialing in, listen to me, like anybody dials in anymore. Maybe people are accessing your systems and your tools remotely to do their job or to monitor things. Again, you don't want them doing that on any old network, right? You want to make sure that anything that they're doing that is related to your business is going through some sort of secure situation. So this is where a VPN would work for you. Now, there are free VPNs out there, but like I mentioned earlier, you don't really want to be doing free when it's coming down to your important stuff, right? You want to pay for it because you want to know that their focus is you and your best interest. Okay, let's face it, wherever the money is where they're going to be focused. So if you are going with a free one, okay, somehow they're making money, you're not going to know how. But by making sure that you're paying for it, now you are sure that, they're making the money by making sure that you're secure, which is exactly the relationship that you want here. Okay. So let's see, what else do we want to talk about? So yeah, and then depending on where you are, if you are, maybe traveling, okay, let's say that you are overseas, okay? So if you are running a store, you may very well be going overseas to deal with suppliers, or to go, look for items that you're going to be purchasing and all that kind of stuff. Depending on where you are in the world, the level of security goes up and down, right? Another awesome use for a VPN, because then when you're out and about, in your overseas or just out of your normal area, again, the VPN is going to offer you a level of protection. So you can go and you can find a bunch of different ones. Let me just make sure I got all these, right? So it encrypts it, protects you. And yeah, okay, so I did cover all that. Yay. So here are a few. So there's NordVPN, privateinternetaccess.com, TunnelBear. So we're going to just go look real quick. No, I keep doing the wrong screen. Here, this one. Too many keyboards. So this is just TunnelBear. So this is just the kind of thing that you would say. So again, you want to go to one that is, you don't want to be using the free level, okay? You want to go with a paid level. But you see, it's not terribly expensive. And when you think of the damage that could be done by somebody getting access to your business information, who you don't want to have it, what is it? $60 a month, maybe, $100 a month, get a year, so that would be $60 a year, or maybe, $100 a year. Somewhere in there is a perfectly reasonable price, and if you think about the level of protection it gives you, well worth it. And they do a really good job, again, of explaining it. This is another type of service, just like what we were talking about with the password vault, like LastPass. Again, works across all the devices. Like, it's not like you have to buy one for your desktop and buy one for your laptop and buy one for your mobile devices. Whatever you buy, you're good to go. Hi, Jason. So you can just, you pay it once, and then you're going to use it across these devices without having to worry about it. And it explains all the different things. And if you want to get into more detail about how it actually works from a technical standpoint, they provide a lot of good information. But it is absolutely critical that you keep your information secure. And if you can do it this simply, at this reasonable price, it's really silly not to. And they do get audited by independent services to verify that they are providing the service that you are paying for, and that they are constantly staying up to date with the things that are constantly changing out there. Because, see, that's the other part of this. Security is an ongoing issue, and it literally changes every second. So, again, unless you want to get into the business of staying on top of this, and let me tell you, it is a full-time job and a half, None of us who are trying to live our lives and run our businesses have the time to stay on top of every single threat that comes out there, because there's way more people out there trying to create threats than there are us, trying to protect ourselves. So anytime you can find a service like this that is going to help give you another level of protection, it's well worth it to at least consider it for your business. And like I said, it's a plus also for your personal business, right? I mean, for your medical information, your bank records, all that kind of stuff. So these are, we take these conversations here towards the business focus, but absolutely, this is the kind of thing that also matters for our personal lives. So it's definitely a win-win. Alrighty, let's keep rolling here. Sorry, I just keep forgetting to check here. We're good, we're all good. Yeah, so if you do have any questions or comments, if you want more information about something, if you want more details about it, go ahead and throw it in the chat. I do have all the chats up. All right, let's go back here. No, I have to be in here to do that. There we go. Okay, so we talked about password vaults. We talked about virtual private networks. All good stuff, good things to have. Just while we're here, because I've already gotten distracted. If you have questions or comments, if you're catching this on a replay, you can always reach out to me on yourtechcoach.net. If you have questions about this topic, or if you have other tech questions, if you have ideas for a show, go ahead, let me know. That's a good place to do it. All right, let's keep rocking here. Okay, browsers. So these days, once upon a time, if you were going to use a tool, you paid for it, you got floppy disks, or you got a CD-ROM, or maybe you downloaded something off the internet and installed it on whichever device, right? Now we're doing everything in a browser, okay? I mean, just everything in our lives as it comes through a browser. So it is super critical to make sure that your browsers are secure. The tool, the ones that you're using, to be honest, and this is not something everybody realizes. So a lot of the point of sale systems, the POS systems, they all have screens on them now. What a lot of people don't realize is the information you're seeing there is actually on the screen is actually being fed through a browser that they've just removed the outer edges from, so you can't surf the web and all that from your cash register. But a very high percentage of them are actually running browsers. And the bad news is they're not really updated the way they should be. So make sure you follow up with your providers and make sure that you're forcing them to give you updates, because those are not always systems that you can update yourself. For the rest of it, when you're trying to access any of your software as a service, the SaaS, if you're trying to get your online emails, if you're getting into, Salesforce, whatever it is that you're using, and you're doing it through a browser, you want to make sure that you are as protected as you can be. So the other two things we talked about play into this, right? So if you're using a password vault, right, so then you're having a more secure ID and a password, so you're pretty good there. Then if you're going through a VPN when you're not in an area that is secure, like your own office, your own shop, maybe at home, depending on how you're connecting, that's all good. Then the next step is make sure you're doing, I'm sorry, but I don't know what else to call it other than browser hygiene, okay? Make sure you're cleaning up after yourself every once in a while in your browser. Preferably once a week, at least once a month. Go in, clean up any cookies that are floating around out there, okay? Every time you visit a site, there are some cookies being loaded. Most of them are fine, right? They're there for a reason. But there's a lot of garbage, too, that comes through. So there's no harm, no foul in just going in every once in a while to your browser and just cleaning out all of your cookies. And if you'd like, I can do a whole show just showing you how to do that in the different browsers. So let me know that. This is where you can let me know. Just reach out and let me know if you want me to walk you through that step by step. That's fine, no problem to do that. The other thing, like we've already talked about, use a third-party password manager. So that is what I was talking about with the password vaults. LastPass, Password One, all those kinds of things. The other thing that is super critical, and this is something I see businesses fail on all the time, make sure your browsers, the browsers your employees are using, are up to date. Okay, so case in point, in the past week, a really severe flaw was found in Google Chrome. And it was what they call a 0-day flaw. So what that means is the flaw was found after hackers started using it for evil purposes, okay? So there was no time to waste on that. Now, all the browser people right now, all the browser providers right now are providing at least daily updates. And if you've got it set to automatically update, you're good, because that's the whole point of it. Again, you don't have to be in the business of knowing every freaking vulnerability that's out there, every piece of malware that's been kicked out there. We don't have time for that, and we don't have the resources to find that kind of stuff. They do. So by using browsers that are up to date, the whole reason that they're doing the updates is because they're staying on top of it. They're constantly updating to stay one step ahead as much as possible, or at least even field with all the stuff that's going on out there. The problem is, and sometimes for good reason, but a lot of companies are not using current browsers, okay? Or if they're using current browsers, they're not up to date. Or they don't even know. Like, there are still people out there that are using, heaven help me, I see the numbers on the analytics all the time. There are still people out there that are trying to use Internet Explorer 5, 5.5, 6. It was a bad browser in the day. It is so antiquated now, it is actually dangerous to be using that, but there's all kinds of people using it. Now, I will say, there are some very good reasons why people are doing that. Okay, they're not doing it out of whimsy, okay? They're not doing it to cause problems. Some people are forced to do this because their tools require it, okay? So, not to scare people, but, okay, in a lot of medical situations, doctors' offices, hospitals, clinics, that kind of stuff, the equipment that they're using, much like the POS systems that you're using in your shops, are using browsers for the screens that the users are interacting with as they're using the different devices. These are very expensive devices. The hardware and the software is hugely expensive. But, and it's also been highly customized, right? Because of that, it tends to lag way behind. And because of the expense, not everybody stays up to date on their service contracts. And because it's so highly customized, things don't get updated as quickly as they should. The problem is, that is a huge vulnerability, okay? It is a huge gaping hole. Sorry, something just popped up and I'm like, why did that come up? You know what? I think, okay, hang on. Sorry, I gotta fix something. There we go. Unrelated, but related. Okay, so like I said, so a lot of people are using old browsers for reasons beyond their control. The only thing I can say to you folks is, again, make sure you've got the other pieces in place. Make sure you're using a password vault if you possibly can with your tool. Make sure that your network is secure internally, and if it is going outside of your building, make sure that it's VPN. Make sure, and hopefully you do have some sort of security squad if you are this size, make sure that they are running tests on things, that they're checking, that make sure that nobody's plugging in a flash drive from outside and all that kind of stuff. Because there's just, I understand that there's certain reasons why you can't update your browser, but that does not mean that you can just throw your hands up in the air. You still have to do the best you can to try to keep those things secure. Putting all that aside, right? There are people who are just not updating their browsers because they don't want to have to learn another one. They don't want to have to think about it. These are the people that I'm talking to right now. You have to. You have to update the browser. It's not a big deal. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you right now. Hang on a sec. Sorry. Multiple keyboards. Makes it a little confusing sometimes. So let us just show you real quick here how easy it is to make sure that your browser is up to date. So we're going to use Chrome because that's what I happen to be in at the moment. So you're going to go up here to the little circles on the right. Okay, so I'm all the way up in the right corner. That way. Okay, and there's 3 dots, and you click on that, and you come down, and you select Help. And then you go About Google Chrome. And it will take you to a page, and it will go, and it will do the check. And look, okay, so I updated this 2 days ago, and I check this on a pretty regular basis, and now it's updating again. That's all you have to do. That's it. Okay, you sit back, and it will do it. In this case, they want to relaunch. That sounds like it was a big... You know what? I'm going to do it. I really shouldn't since I'm producing a show right now, but I am going to anyway because it's that important to stay up to date. So you want to make sure that you are up to date all the time. So here, let me do this again. And I'm just going to, oops, got to bring the screen up. All right, so again, it's the little 3 circles up on the right. Now, if you're in Firefox or IE, it's a little bit different, but the process is still the same. There's some sort of control, usually up to the right side in the corner. You're going to go down to Help, About, and it's going to spin, and it's going to tell you it's up to date. So this has been updated. When did I update last? Today's Thursday. I updated Monday. Most of the time it happens in the background, but I'm kind of glad it didn't this time because I got to show you that by going in, it'll go out, it'll check, it'll say, hey, is there anything new that we need to load for this person? If it does, it'll bring it down. So now let's talk about all the companies that are out there that have locked down their employee system. There's a lot of you out there, and I understand why you do it. There's a lot of users, and it costs a lot of time to go and deal with each and every one, so you tend to want to push stuff out. You want to keep them in a restricted environment. You don't want them bringing things in from outside. All of that is perfectly valid. But if you are going to do that, it is your responsibility to make sure that A, these people are restarting their machines and getting your updates on a regular basis, and 2, that you are updating things. So, for example, I was just talking to a friend, and she was asking me about the show and everything, so I mentioned that this was a topic this week, and she's like, well, what do you mean? We started talking about the browser things, and I said to her, like, every conversation I have with everybody right now is, have you updated Chrome? You better go update Chrome right now. Give me your phone, let me help you update Chrome right now, because it's been that big a deal. And she's like, well, what are you talking about? Everything, and I'm like, she got to be at work. I said, so go into your browser, because I know that in her particular situation, they do everything through the browser. And I walked her through it, and I said, so tell me, what numbers do you see? So the version number for her version of Chrome. And she said, version 6.5. I said, stop. Not only have you not had the update loaded for this most recent vulnerability, which is running rampant through the internet right now, but you're over 10 versions back. I said, that's inexcusable. You are so wide open for trouble that you don't have to be open to. So I said, you need to go to your head of security, IT security, and I gave her a URL, I said, and give it to him and said, have you read this, and could you please update my browser, because I don't want to be responsible for bringing stuff inside the company. This happens a lot. And like I said, it is not from laziness. It is not because people want bad things to happen. They just get so set in their ways that they forget that if you're going to lock down people's systems, then it is your responsibility to make sure that those systems are getting the updates that they need. And frankly, you don't have the right to be mad at anybody whose system releases some sort of malware throughout your company if you set them up for that to happen. It's that simple. I'm sorry, but there's no other way to say it. It is absolutely critical. So you need to make sure that you are doing everything for them if you're not going to let them do it for themselves. If you are leaving it for them to do, make sure that they're educated. Make sure that you're checking in. Make sure that they're sitting through those training sessions they don't want to sit through because they need to know this stuff. And so, whichever way you're going to do it, whether you're going to make people responsible for their own or you're going to do it for them, you have to make sure that it happens because it is so critical. And it's such a silly thing to not to have to pay the price for, right? I mean, talk about locking the barn door after the cows get out, right? If you do these 3 things, right? If you set yourself up with password vault of some sort, LastPass, whatever. If you get yourself on a VPN for any time you're not on a secured network that you are 100% sure is secured and being checked on a regular basis, and if you are not cleaning up your cookies, not saving things to your browser, if you are not updating your browser on a regular basis, you're setting yourself up for failure that you don't need, right? We have enough problems. Running your businesses is hard enough. Please, 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 don't let these little things turn into big issues, right? And so, yes, I'm going to completely agree with Susan on this. This is the way to do it. This is how you set up your employees for success. This is how you set your business up for success. By taking care of these little details once a week, once a month, if you have to do it if you can't do it once a week, at least once a month, you can set yourself up for success. You can protect you, your companies, your employees, which lets everybody focus on doing the job that your business is in business for. And that is always a win. So that is super big. That is super important. Okay, so let me just check in with everybody else. Thanks for coming by, Susan, and thanks for that perfect quote. That was absolutely perfect. Just what I needed at the perfect time. Susan does that. She's good that way. Very talented person. Looks like she's got another one, but it hasn't come through to my tool yet. Let's see. 1 sec. Okay, I'm sorry. Something about the cow that I made the cow reference. I know not everybody knows that. Oh. Actually, I don't know this one. Okay, so she's got a trivia question for us. Cow, another cow. I think that's the same cow. Name that movie. I have no idea. My guess would be Dumber and Dumber. I don't know why that popped into my head since I've never seen that movie. But that would be my guess. Did I guess right? You have to let me know. Does anybody else know? You want to join in on this? Let me know if you know what movie that's from. I'm just making a wild guess here. I have no idea if that's right. That's funny. I'm usually good with the movie quotes, but to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of movies lately. So Susan will have to let us know if we got that right. While she's doing that, I mentioned at the beginning that I advertised this as 3 things, but it's actually 3.5 because of something that has come up. And let me bring you up to speed on that one. So, you have probably heard, let me bring this up. Susan will recognize this. Okay, David, I'm not going to get there yet. So, you probably heard about the big Facebook outage yesterday. So, we're doing this show. What is today's date? I've lost track. Oh, right, it's Pi Day. I hope you had some pie today. So, it's 3/14/19 today, and yesterday, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, amazingly enough, because it's all one company, had major outages all across the world, right? And, I mean, people were losing their minds. Ironically, the only way that Facebook could bring people up to date on what was going on, which they didn't do a great job of until it was fixed, was to go to Twitter. Irony. So, now, everybody's been able to get back in and post and all that. However, we have gotten wind of some information that I have not seen in the mainstream. So I do want to warn you folks about it. Actually, I'm going to take my picture off this. This needs to be here. So you've heard me mention before, the folks over at Live Streaming Pros, they work with a lot of people doing a lot of setups for studios and training people how to do this better. So anything I do right is because of LSP. Anything I do wrong is all on me. So after people started to get access back to Facebook, all of a sudden they were starting to get reports from the people that they work closely with that people were logging into their accounts, their Facebook accounts, and not getting access to their own account, but getting access to somebody else's account. And somebody else had somebody get access to her account and run up like $2,000 in ads on her credit card that was attached to her Facebook account. So this is the 0.5 of the whole security thing. You got to stay on top of this kind of stuff. Being out on social media is a part of doing business, right? You have to be out there on social media in order to do business these days. That's a foregone conclusion. But it is another thing you need to keep an eye on. You can't just post and run away from it again. You need to keep an eye on your accounts. You need to look at your accounts on a regular basis like your customers, like your users, like your audience does. Because that's how you're going to find out. So right now, I'm a member of another group, user experience, user interface people. And there's this one Instagram account that does a really good job of providing information, but with a funny spin. And it's been a real joy to follow them and to read their content. Unfortunately, something's going on with them, and so they haven't been paying as much attention to the account, and that happens. The problem is somebody has hacked their account in the meantime and is posting horrific stuff there. And everybody is trying to reach the admins and all that, and nothing's happening. And so now their account is just filled with all this garbage. You don't want to be in that situation. You also don't want to get caught in something like this. So, this is the kind of thing where it's not out there. People are not talking about this. You're not going to hear about this on the news. The only reason I know about it is because the LSP folks heard about it from their clients who have either experienced logging in and seeing somebody else's account, which is horrifying, or being on the recipient side of that where they went into their account or they saw on their credit card all of these charges that they didn't, and it was tracked back to their Facebook account, and somebody is now in their Facebook account running charges. And the thing is, it may not be malicious. It may be, but it may not. Because if there's something wrong on the back end, like if whatever has gone wrong on Facebook and they have said zip about it, whatever has gone wrong, if something is now wrong in their databases, and I can get deep in this stuff, and I'm going to try not to go too deep, but basically, if there's something wrong in their databases, right, where, like this person's logging in with this ID and password, so that means they should get access to this. Well, if there's something off, and now you're logging in and you're getting somebody else's access, you're getting somebody else's account with your ID and password, they're validating you, right? They're saying, hey, that ID and password, we recognize that. Okay, you can go here. Were you supposed to go here? That's what I mean. It may not be malicious. The person who ran up the credit card charges may not have done it realizing, because maybe they didn't pay attention. Maybe they were in a rush and they went in and they set up an ad and they set it to run and they said, yes, use my credit card on file, and they went about their business. But they maybe didn't realize that they were now in somebody else's account running the ads on somebody else's account. So my point is, if you are on Facebook, and I'm assuming you are, everybody is, you need to go in, you need to log in, you need to verify, go through your entire account and make sure that everything is right. Wouldn't hurt to go and change your password just in case. The problem is, if it's not a security issue, if it's a database issue, changing your password may or may not help, but it couldn't hurt. So go do that. But also go, if you're doing any kind of business, if you've got a credit card attached to Facebook, you want to go in, you want to check all that kind of stuff right now, because there's something going on that hasn't really been talked about yet. And I don't want anybody to get caught in this, because it's an ugly thing. I will put the link in. David went into this in more detail, so I will put the link in so that you can go and watch his video. They're great people. You want to stay in touch with them if you can. So that is the 0.5 that I'm giving you tonight. All right, looks like Susan gave us the answer, and I wasn't even close. Not even close. So the thing, cow, another cow, I think that's the same cow, was Twister. I remember that from the promos now. Thank you. That was a good one. Excellent work, Susan. Thank you so much. All right, so anybody else got any questions, comments? Because if not, I'm going to wrap this puppy up because I need to go feed the puppy. See how that works? All right, so let me just wrap up. I'm just going to remind you real quick. The 3 things are: get yourself a password vault. LastPass is the one I'm recommending. I'm not an affiliate, unfortunately. I'm just recommending them because I find that it's been really useful to work with and easy to work with, but there's other ones out there. So whatever, just go get one. Make sure it's a paid one, because you don't want to be giving your critical information to somebody who's giving you a service for free, because who knows what they're doing with your information. 2, get yourself on a VPN. Again, can do it for $50 to $100 a year, but it will give you privacy. It will also give you encryption for extra security, especially when you are accessing important information from locations other than your own office, which hopefully is secure. And then number 3 is make sure that your browser is up to date, that you are cleaning out your cookies on a regular basis, and that you are keeping it up to date and keeping all of your employees' ones up to date. And if you are using tools like a point of sale system or whatever that has embedded software in it, odds are these days it's also got a browser in it, make sure that that is up to date. If your supplier is not providing you regular updates, you need to get on top of that. You need to get a hold of them and say, hey, this is not good. We want updates on this. They may charge you a little bit for it, but again, it's a cost of doing business, and it's giving you extra levels of security, because you don't want to be the next name on the news saying, hey, all this personal information of the customers released because this company didn't pay to keep their stuff up to date. All right? Are we good? Do we have it all covered? Everybody happy? Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that you were. So Susan says she's here to serve. Well, that's cool. I didn't know that that was an option. Thank you. Awesome. And she's also saying that she's a fan of LastPass. I did not realize that you were a LastPass person. It's hard to say. LastPass. Could also be because I'm tired. And yes, cookies are yum. I totally agree. It was a well-named thing, right? As they were coming up with things. There's so much of the technology terminology that is overwhelming or even a little threatening sometimes, but cookies, who doesn't love a good cookie, right? All right, everybody. So thank you all so much for coming. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you will think long and hard about this. I will put these links into the comments on Facebook and on YouTube. Sorry, Periscope. If you would like them, you can also sign up for the mailing list, and you can reach out to me and let me know if you want me. I will certainly send you these links if that helps. But you can get on the mailing list, which will keep you up to date on shows, and I'm going to be putting together a newsletter starting next month. So you can feel free to join that, and you can rest assured that I will not be using your personal information for anything other than sending you the content you've asked for. I'm using MailChimp. They keep it all secured, so I don't even have direct access to it. It's stored with them, and they do a really good job of keeping everything secure. All right, and if you have any ideas, comments, if you have questions, if you want advice about technology, or you just have an idea for the show, reach out, yourtechcoach.net, or you can reach me on Twitter at your_techcoach. Gotta put the underscore in, otherwise you'll go to somebody else. Won't be as good. Maybe it will, I don't know. All right, everybody, gotta go take care of the puppy. Have a good one. I will see you next week. Oh, and right before John yells at me, where is it? There we go. If you're a Discord person, you can come join our Discord. That's just a place where we're hanging out and just having ongoing conversations about technology and just general fun geeky stuff too, so you can do that. If you email me at iamyourtechcoach@gmail.com, I will be happy to send you the invite. Also, I will be on Twitch. I must say Twitter. On Twitch tonight for the post-show hangout session. So you are welcome to come join us there. It is twitch.tv/ twitch.tv/your tech coach. It is .tv, right, John? I need more caffeine. Yes, twitch.tv/your tech coach. Just had to check. For some reason my brain checked out there. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Thanks so much. Talk to you next week. Bye.